Welcome to Crazy Shit in Real Estate, a weekly podcast where I walk you through some of the wildest, most unbelievable stories you'll hear from the world of real estate. If you like real estate and you love crazy, this is the podcast for you.
So Garrett, thank you for coming on Crazy Shit in Real Estate, where we talk about all kinds of things on this podcast. And you have this unique perspective to share with the audience because you are a brand new realtor. So tell our audience a little bit about you, where you are in life, how long you've had your license, and give them a little bit of a snapshot of Garrett.
Yeah, for sure. So I am located out of Mount Airy, Maryland, which is in central Maryland. I got my license. I became licensed at 18. So right as I could, I got my license. But this is actually my fourth year in the business. I started with my mom when she was still selling real estate. So I started as a real estate assistant, but I was not your average real estate assistant. She had me doing everything she could under the law, and I was kind of thrown into it. So it was really a good learning experience. I got a lot of hands-on experience, and it really benefits me today. I didn't have that learning curve once I got my license, and now I'm running our business completely myself, and it's the best job you could ask for. So I really love it.
We should probably tell the world your mother is not a low producing, low energy, not getting the job done person. So Garrett's mom is, when she was a practicing realtor, a top producer. So selling a lot of houses, very, very busy, which would mean that for Garrett to survive in her world, whether he's her kid or not, you're going to have to find a way to produce benefits and get the job done. Mm-hmm. So in that fast-paced environment, when you're 18 and you're accustomed to a world of high school, which tends to not be super high-paced, and you have some friends that have their new car from their parents and some that go work after school, but the pace is so different than what you find in a real estate practice. Tell me what it was like to get thrown into your mom's world and be expected to produce results.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. When I started, I was 17, just helping her out. And there was no time off. At the time, I was in school full-time, attending high school. I was also interning with a private attorney who had me come intern with him. So I was doing that. That was every day for 4 to 6 hours. And then I was doing real estate as well. So I had no time. We had our best quarter that spring of 2018 ever. It was extremely busy. I don't know how to put words to it, but it was great. We were moving fast paced. And honestly, it taught me a lot about the business. You learn that there's no downtime. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. And there were things I would say, well, what's this? And she'd say, I don't know, just figure it out. And it was the best way to learn because, not every agent has somebody to guide them through. And I'm lucky I did have that, but to an extent, it was sink or swim. And it's really a beneficial way to go about it on her part.
Well, I had that same advantage, right? So I came in with my dad, who had been a realtor for 22 years when I got into the business. And I totally agree with you that I really don't know how anybody survives in this if you don't have a seasoned professional somewhere really close by to say, what's going on here? What do I do? Because you already mentioned two of the scenarios that are the reason a lot of realtors just give up on the business. And the first one is, they don't know what to do. There's no expectation every day. There is a new scenario that nobody's ever heard of. We're constantly problem solving. But the other one is it doesn't stop. There is no 5 o'clock, let's turn the phones off. No. Even if it's your day off, somebody had to cover for you because it never does end. And some people thrive and grow in an environment that's fast-paced and continuing to speed up. And some people just burn out so quickly. So with you being younger and not yet married and no kids, and it's just you, how did you figure out how to still be a young person? Because you don't get back those 18, 19, 20, 21 years that are so much fun when you can literally stay up all night and function and run a 5K. If you've never walked outside before, your life is different, your friends are different. How did you manage those two worlds? Because the real estate world, for you consumers that are listening, the average realtor is 56 years old. So Garrett is way younger than the average realtor. So working in that space, you're obviously the youngest guy on the block 99% of the time. And you need to have a life in a business that doesn't believe you have a life. Where did you strike a balance? Because I think that's a hard thing for a 50-year-old, much less a 22-year-old.
So the balance when it comes to work is tough. I put work before everything. I also do attend the University of Central Florida full time as well. So I pay for my school with my real estate commissions. The school always comes first because that's what funds it. So, I mean, I'm sorry, real estate always comes first. So as much as school is important and I've succeeded very much, I always put real estate first, and that comes over friends, that comes over, you know, any events I want to go to, that comes over everything, because that's what pays the bills, and that's my job. So it's hard to say there's a perfect balance there. I think it's mostly work first, but I will say that, you know, I try to still fit in the things I like. I still like to attend, you know, the Washington Redskins games or the Capitals games when I have time and hang out with my friends, but it's not easy to strike a balance. It's, you know, the other night we had inspections coming in and we're getting the appraisals in, and I'm up at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I know you do the same thing, contacting my clients, talking to the other agent. You know, my client emails me at 1 a.m. and I'm still up. So I'm still working on stuff with her. It's just, there is no great balance, but I try to keep it as even as possible.
Well, as much as my mother in me wants to tell you, go have some fun and take a minute off, you're only young once, the other side of me understands, because I bartended to pay for college, and there was no way I was going to keep that going forever. I was focused on get done with college, keep it paid for. If I wasn't a 4.0, who cared? Because nobody's asked me my GPA in 25 years. So it didn't matter. It just had to get done. And I understand that. Although I will say that as your, you know, mother hen by podcast world, you should have a little fun every now and then, because it can.
Oh, I still do.
Okay, so just reminding you, you're always.
Oh, I definitely do.
All right. So in the 4 years you've been in the business as a very young person in a very medium-aged profession, what was the biggest challenge in working with end user clients as somebody who was probably younger than your clients that you're serving?
Yeah. So it's definitely a little bit of an obstacle, especially it was at first, trying to gain their respect and gain their, you know, their trust in you. And a lot of people have a preconceived notion that somebody that's 20 years old wouldn't understand the business, can't do real estate. And I think most of them learn very quickly that that's not necessarily accurate. I understand not all 20-year-olds, not even most, could or would do it, but I don't fall into that category. So I have to really show my knowledge of the business and really prove myself to them at the beginning to make sure that they understand that I'm the right person for the job. And I haven't had a client yet that at the end of the transaction said, I wish we would have went with someone older. They are always thrilled that they use me. It's just that first interaction or two where I really have to show my knowledge in the industry.
And how many of your clients are excited to support a young person who's coming up in an entrepreneurial field? Do you ever get that whole, man, Garrett, we want to help you make it. We want to give you a chance. And then you reward them with your work ethic and knowledge. But do you see them in a space where they want to see you succeed?
Yeah, I definitely think there are a couple that have felt that way. I think the overwhelming majority, rightfully so, just want the best person for the job. So they're more focused on hiring the right person, whether that's me or someone else. But that's where, again, I have to prove that it's me.
Okay, so in your 4 years, what's been the craziest thing you've encountered? And knowing that you came in already seeing some scenarios because you're watching your mom be in the middle of stuff while you're working as her assistant, when you went out into the field to handle buying properties and selling of properties with clients, what was the scenario that you ran across that you said, I cannot believe this is happening to me right now?
This happened a couple of months ago. And when my client hears this podcast, she's going to laugh because
okay, we're not saying
it's very crazy.
She's the only one that will ever call herself out. So when you're listening to this,
exactly,
call it out, it's on you.
Exactly. So we had a short sale, And we were a few months into the transaction. You know how those go. You're waiting for bank approval. You're waiting for bank approval. We weren't getting it. And then the agent calls me on a Monday and says, "Hey, Garrett, I need you to call me back ASAP. You could just tell it wasn't good. It was going to be an issue." So I called him back. I said, "Hello, what's going on?" And he said a car had ran into the house. So I was like, "Okay, so where do you think we go from here?" And he said, "I don't know, but the story goes that we're in the middle of nowhere. It's out in the woods. There's nobody around. This lady was driving up the road. She was texting and driving. She went up the driveway all the way up the hill and hit the house." The problem with the story is there's fence all around the yard on both sides of the driveway. There's no way this happened, but I didn't want to be the telling that the story was, whoever gave that story to him is full of it. But I just said, okay. And so I had to bring that back to my client and explain it to her. And I get pictures on my phone, the house, the bricks crumbling, the garage doors all bent. It was a mess. And we did end up walking away.
She going to knock the brick down.
I know.
Was it the ex-wife? Was she trying to knock the house down in retaliation for something?
I have no clue. It could have been something like that.
Because Garrett, women are trouble. I'll tell you that too. As you're in the young dating part of life, women are trouble. Be very careful. But when you're looking at this scenario, if you're a consumer listening to this, let me give you the quick snapshot of what a short sale is. Long story short, you have a homeowner who needs to get rid of the house, and they're often behind on their payments, and they want to sell it because they're going to go to foreclosure, but the house is worth less than the mortgage on the property. So the agent and the seller have to apply to the bank and say, "Please, Bank of America, take 150 instead of 200 because it ain't worth 200. And so it's a song and dance between what it's worth and what somebody will pay for it and what's owed on it. And it generally takes months because banks are really slow to deal with this stuff, which means that in the interim, somebody can drive their car through the house, which is going to inherently change the value of the house because now it's not worth what it was when your client made the offer, and there's no money to fix it, and banks don't like to fix it. So Garrett found himself in the middle of a hot mess is the technical term for that. So Garrett, I'm curious what your buyer decided. Did they go find another house, or did they say, "I'll stick it out, I don't care"?
Nope. She decided to leave. We all had a gut feeling that the bank wasn't going to approve our offer anyway. So it's just a matter of time. So we decided then she ended up walking, and we're under contract on another property, and we'll settle around the end of the month. So
well, good happy for her, because maybe that car running into the house saved her from termite damage or something, because you just never know what all you're going to run into.
Exactly.
If the bricks are falling in, I'm just very concerned about the integrity of a house, especially if she's going up a driveway. You said she's going up a driveway.
Up a driveway, yeah. Had to be going really fast.
That's insane. And this, by the way, is why you want a good realtor at your side, friends. If you are buying and selling property, if his client had been by herself, there'd be nobody to say, "Look, let's walk away," or "This is going on," especially when you're dealing with a giant glob of a conglomerate bank who may or may not be giving answers to anybody. So the internet is not your best friend when it comes to doing houses.
Exactly. And we knew that if she was going to stick it out, she had to at least have a structural engineer come check it out, because once they repaired it, because you don't know if the repair was done well or done cheaply. So that was definitely going to be a big part.
She was still buying an as-is property. And think about that for long term. You got to disclose what happened to this corner. What car ran into it? I don't know. Some woman.
Exactly.
Oh, so Garrett, what's the goal with real estate for you? Do you see yourself as a lifelong realtor, or will this be a job until you finish school and get a high-powered investment banking job on Wall Street? What's the Garrett dream?
So the Garrett dream, in all honesty, I love real estate. I see myself always doing real estate to some extent. But my dream is to get into politics. I'd like to be a lobbyist in a couple of years. I'm a junior now, major in political science, so I'll be done in a couple of years. So that's my goal.
Very nice. Well, as you already know, because your mother's very involved, the realtors do a ton of stuff in political advocacy, because we are the only voice for property rights at the table on any level of government. And frankly, friends, it's because if you're a regular consumer listening to this because you like these stories, you should know that the topics that we work for in political advocacy are not sexy. Nobody wants to talk about property taxes and flood reform and Fannie and Freddie and really boring stuff. So it takes people who are willing to do that lobbying education to get your elected officials on board. So Garrett, make sure that you stay involved in realtor world because we can help you get there. We know we have candidate training events for our realtors. Have you attended a candidate training event?
I haven't went to a candidate training event. I haven't, but I know I should down at our local.
They're online now. They were never online until the gift of the pandemic is online candidate training. And from a lobbyist standpoint, that's fantastic information to have because you could volunteer on a campaign or two and get to know some of the connected people and get up there and represent all the rest of us because we need more good property rights people in government on all levels. And
you know very well that our lobbyist and advocacy team at NAR is fantastic. They're top notch. You know,
they're ridiculous. I'm grateful to have Shannon McGann and the rest of her team. Especially grateful that Shannon had the foresight to set up a team on both sides of the aisle so that we can have advocates no matter what their party affiliation is. And the hope 100%. That one day we don't have to have specific people for specific sides of the aisle and we can just have the intelligent, rational, business-minded people who just run things.
I'm with you.
All right, Garrett, if somebody wants to reach you for whatever reason, they want to give you some leads on a lobbyist job, or they want to buy and sell real estate from you, or they want to know what it's like to be a first career young realtor, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yes, please reach out to me. I'm on Instagram. That's the best way to reach me. Garrett Gillespie Remax. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me at Garrett Gillespie Remax Realty Plus, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look for Garrett Gillespie.
And of course, I'll have all of his contact information and links in the show notes for the episode because I love making y'all's life easy. So send him a note and give him a high five for being successful at such a young age in a business that's hard but incredibly rewarding. And Garrett, I look forward to supporting you however I can as you take these next steps to go do great things for your community. And you have a great mom, by the way. So always give your mom extra hugs for raising you to be an amazing young man. She's amazing.
Of course. Thank you very much, Leigh, for having me on.
All right, guys, subscribe to the show. I need 5 stars. And I need you to come back and visit us next time where we'll talk about some more crazy shit in real estate. In the meantime, have a good one. See you, Garrett.
If you are listening to this episode and you need to tell us something about your crazy life in or around real estate, then tweet me at Leigh Brown or reach me on any of the social networks. That's if you're a broker, realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular normal human being who happens to have dealt in real estate. Subscribe for more episodes, and as always, we are thrilled that you joined us for some crazy shit in real estate. See you next time.